So Isaiah, nice to meet you. So this is a listening project for a concept I call dialexicon, dialogue and lexicon. So the distinct language of a person through dialogue.
Mm.
And the idea is that the interviews can be very short, doesn't take a long time, and I want you to feel good about it. So you can steer it however you want. Usually there's just 2 questions. The first one's usually pretty open-ended, and then the second one, I'll be listening to what you share, and I will offer you a word that I hear from what you share and ask you to, like, what does that mean to you? And I know a teeny bit.
It's my jam.
Yes. Well, we've had a bit of casual conversation, and I heard a little bit about your project, Electric Potlatch. So may the first question be, what is electric potlatch?
So the concept for me, so the idea births from Electric Powwow and the beginnings of Tribe Called Red, and why they started Electric Powwow in Ottawa, because there was a huge Indigenous student body in Ottawa, but there was nowhere for them to go. So then they created a scene, which, and then my first experience in it too, was that a bar full of natives we're having a good time. I'm like, and then being 1920, it was my very first experience like that, with that many native people drinking and just chilling out. So that was the seed of it. But so for my concept, it's we own potlatch. I know there's going to be some backlash from people that have potlatch as well, but that's the English term. There's traditional terms. We have potlatch where I come from. So if we take that whole concept, there's a lot of ceremony, there's a lot of holding up community, there's a lot of building up young people and their jobs, like, hey, go serve the elder their food, okay, and then they get praise. So there's a lot of things going on within the potlatch. So then what does that look like if we give it electricity? Just as we've done in society now, right? Without electricity, we can't run power tools to build a home, or gas. Well, essentially it all comes from gas anyway. And then what are the technological advances we can use with electricity? What are the possibilities of what electricity gives us? So it's my form as like I want to say contemporary native person, but I believe I'm just a modern. I'm living my modern tradition. Like, we can't go back in time the way things were, so we are here now. So then bringing back that feast lifestyle and to build us up, because I believe the world has always been crazy. I'm sure our ancestors had their own type of crazy, like pre-contact even, but there's always something going on, but there was always a feast to decompress, to visit, to relationship build, to nation build with other neighboring nations. And we lost that. So the idea is to have a feast, support one another, support the community, support artists, but also just have a really good time that can possibly run really late into the early into the mornings. But it's hopefully in my fantasy and I dream of it, it's like creating a safe space to just really hang out and live, be modern, and not have a shame culture around partying. I mean, there's always going to be shenanigans and kind of craziness, but it's hopefully trying to create a good space for that to kind of take place. So that's it. And yeah, it took a while for me to get there to consolidate the whole idea. It's been an idea, or I've been just growing the idea and seed and over the years. But yeah.
That's so beautiful. There were a few words that came up, and some of them you sort of spoke to, but I wonder if one of them is what is a feast for you? I get the impression it's not a day-to-day meal. There's something elevated about it.
It can be a day-to-day meal. The way in my household, the way we cook, we just really cook. Well, there can be a whole entire process. Okay, we're gonna marinate this. We're gonna make this sauce for this. Like that can be an entire day in the making, or a couple days to like prep and do all that. Or it's just having. I'm a hunter. Our family hunts, and we engage that lifestyle fully and just like our ancestors. So it could just be like, right, we have fresh meat or we have some frozen meat, and we just pull out a big steak and you just eat potatoes, fry up some onions with it, and then we have rice and potatoes, but it's like and then just a big grand meal, but you're leaving. So your feet, yeah. So I guess consolidating it, feast would be, it's like not only feeding us physically but also spiritually, but but in a good way, not so much like junk. And I love junk food, time and place, but feeding, taking that energy, physical energy from the feast is sustaining us to have this conversation, to feel, to work, to physically work, to think. And so without that feast to feed us, even just in a physical realm, we wouldn't be able to like live and sustain ourselves. And then for me personally, as a traveler going out, my grandma just came to town. She just left, but she brought some caribou. So I'm able to now take that, and it's going to help sustain me in a place that's not my home. I'm a small town kid. I'm a bush kid. I live in the bush. So being in the city is a little bit difficult for me. So when I have things to eat and feed caribou to feast with, it helps like sustain me in a lot of ways, like emotionally, spiritually, emotional, spiritual, physically, and spiritual. Oh, I said spiritual. Intellectually. So I can
It's happening.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's what feasting would be, and it can be on a grand scale, but I think it's just like an abundance. A good abundance, not an overabundance, but like you're just fully satisfied. You have had your fill. You can have a little bit more than your fill if you want to, and then leaving in a good way. On to the next trial and tribulation.
That's perfect. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm gonna press the button.
And scene.
And scene. That's literally what